So, I just mentioned Godzilla 98 was absolutely horrible.
Terrible.
Obviously, the technology has changed in terms of the CGI and whatnot and how they can make Godzilla look. You know, you talked about how Godzilla was horizontally jumping across the screen. So what do you think about that gap in quality? Like 98 to 2014 when the first movie in this new series dropped seems like a long time, but it's, you know, technically not that long.
16 years isn't that long.
Yeah, it's not in technology standards either. So
right.
It's just like, what do you think about that gap? Is like, should we have gotten a better movie? Should they have waited?
The wait was good, strictly because of that. So a parallel is Dragon Ball Z. So Dragon Ball Z, the Buu saga was it, done, finito, okay. Over.
I thought we were talking about Dragon Ball Z, the movie.
We are.
Oh, God.
The creators said that the Buu saga was it. That was it. It was over. Done.
Correct. That is correct.
Then white people went and ruined it by making...
Do we have confirmation on that? We like to have our facts on Black Man's Club. White people ruined Dragon Ball Z.
Yes. So when the Western, I forget the picture, the company that did Dragon Ball Evolution. But when they pitched it as doing a live action of Dragon Ball as a young teenager. This movie, if you've not watched it, is so bad. It's awful. The whitewashing of characters is always a problem.
There's the blame.
That's one of the big problems. Nothing makes sense. Nothing.
No.
The whole story.
This is a motorcycle instead of a cloud.
Guy who plays Lord Piccolo. Forget his name offhand. However, he was a huge fan of Dragon Ball, and so gave it his all and did everything he could to push for the story to make sense. Mm-hmm. And just kind of fell on deaf ears. But he put in as much of a performance as he could. He was the best part of the movie outside of Chow Yun-fat.
Kind of like Charlize Theron in Snow White and the Huntsman?
Yes. A demonstratively terrible movie.
Bad movie.
But she's doing her damnedest to save her. This movie sucks. I don't suck. I will save this film. I mean, she didn't, but she damn tried. So Dragon Ball Evolution is such a disaster. It's so bad. The writer, who, in his defense, he wrote a script and then it got edited and changed by the studio.
Yeah.
But he still openly apologized to the fan base for writing any sort of script. Because of that movie, it left a sour taste in the mouth of the creator, whose name, yes, I completely forget. My bad. He then went on to make Dragon Ball Super after making the movie Battle of the Gods. So the reason that we have Dragon Ball Super and then the movies that are subsequently part of that, including the Broly remake, which is ballin'. It's a great movie, is because of that bad film. And that inspired him where he didn't have the inspiration. In that same manner, Godzilla 98 re-inspired Toho to give a shit about Godzilla. They kind of were waysided with what movie to do with Godzilla. So they came out with, funny enough, Godzilla 2000, which was kind of a dud. It's not a very good one. Mm-hmm. It was okay.
It didn't work out.
Didn't work great. But they eventually made Godzilla Final Wars, which is quite literally Godzilla stomping through Japan, in the world really. It's Japan, he stops in China, has a cup of coffee in Australia. He stomps through just killing all of his former adversaries one-on-one. The kicker is, Toho purchased the rights of the 1998 Godzilla, which had to have been for like $7. The scene that they have with that, which they renamed Zilla, is what they renamed him. They have it in Australia, and they're playing a Sum 41 song over it. And they purposely used shitty CGI. They beam him in. Here comes Godzilla, like in the suit Godzilla. They roar at each other. This little CGI weird Zilla thing runs at him, jumps. Godzilla hits him with his tail, fire breaths him to death, and that's it. They bought it just to kill it, to end it.
That's great.
Now, the thing that I point out, though, is for that 98 movie, why was it bad? Was it bad because the Godzilla looked funny? No, that wasn't it. I can accept whatever a Godzilla looks like. There's some goofy-ass Godzillas from the 60s. Goofy.
I'm just going to blame Matthew Broderick, to be completely honest.
It's a legitimate thing. He was terrible. Matthew Broderick's terrible.
Matthew Broderick has not done anything good since, I feel like, Ferris Bueller.
I feel like there's one thing in there. No. The Producers. The Producers is great.
Never seen it. When did that come out?
Really? Well, it's a remake of the original, but it's Mel Brooks presents The Producers. And it's them just trying to make a play that's so bad that they lose money. Therefore, they pyramid scheme their way into stealing everyone's money.
Oh.
But they accidentally make a great play called Springtime for Hitler.
Okay.
It's the greatest.
Okay. I'll check it out. I'll see if I can find it somewhere.
Will Ferrell is the Nazi.
I'm not the biggest Will Ferrell fan, but I can see that being.
He does great in the role. It's seriously, it is a phenomenal movie. It's got Uma Thurman. It's got.
I like Uma Thurman.
It's got a great cast. It's got a great cast of very talented people, and it's super entertaining. It's super entertaining. But I digress. The problem with Godzilla '98 is that it's Godzilla versus people, and that is the problem.
Absolutely.
Because, and this is at that time, because Shin Godzilla is literally just Godzilla versus people. It's nature versus man. But it's also telling a story of how inept the Japanese government is. Mm-hmm. That's the basis of the story, is that here's this thing occurring, and the Japanese government, which is just stuck in its bureaucratic ways, is too hampered by that to make decisions. So Godzilla just wrecks shit all over Japan.
Yeah.
Because they're inept. That's the story, though, and you watch it develop and you're part of it. So it makes sense. And then in the background, here's Leviathan Godzilla destroying things.
Yeah, exactly. And that seems to kind of be a bit of a...
it's a story.
Like a story, but kind of like call back to like the whole kind of theory, the concept of Godzilla,
yeah.
Right? With the whole nuclear
weapons, and it produces this gigantic creature that we literally can't kill. Like,
exactly.
The strongest weaponry we have, a nuclear bomb, it feeds this thing. It actually repairs him. You hit him with a nuke, it's like throwing a McDouble at me. It's quite literally 1-to-1. Like, oh no, you hit me with a sandwich. I eat that. So the movie spawned a television show. The television show is actually really good.
What?
That's the thing. It's really good.
What did it? Was it on Cartoon Network?
I think so.
I thought it was trash.
It was. Here's why it was. Well, I didn't like it initially because I was like, man, that's not. I did the whole president thing for people do nowadays. Like, that's not my Godzilla.
I think I had to kind of like go back to, and I can't remember if Men in Black 2 was before or after.
The TV show was concurrently running with that same Godzilla film. They used the same animators.
Okay, gotcha. And
same
I could
exact
not
animators.
stand that show.
Cookies and cream Pocky. I've had this before, but it's still, I mean, it's cookies and cream, man.
Oh yeah. And then we've got the opposite of Pocky coming here soon.
Yeah.
I've also never had. No fancy packaging. It's just the white and blue.
Yep.
Some of the Pocky flavors have like this. I don't even know how to explain. It's like shiny and has like a color gradient on it, so it's, like, it's pretty cool.
And if you've never had Pocky, get up on it, because Pocky is good.
Top 5 Pocky flavor immediately.
Oh, I love cookies and cream.
Pocky, Pokey, I'm not sure what
the scary thing about these is the bag is just small enough to where you will consider eating the whole thing.
Which of the 4 films in the modern series is your favorite and why?
You mean including Shin Godzilla, that one, or the Godzilla and Kong Skull Island?
Kong Skull Island.
Godzilla vs. Kong is the best one by a mile. If you're looking for a monster movie, the thing about Godzilla vs. Kong is, I feel like Godzilla and Kong are like Coca-Cola in that everyone knows who they are.
Yeah. Good question.
I've never met anyone that doesn't know who Godzilla is. They may not know by name, but if I'm like the giant monster that breathes fire, like, oh, okay.
Like, yeah, that guy. Yeah.
Or King Kong, giant monkey. Like, oh, okay. The first Godzilla, I still have to say, is good. I appreciate the 2 things in that movie that really kill it are when the male Muto is flying behind him and he just no-look tail murders it. Like, he went out rough. But then, of course, at the end, when the female Muto's right there and Godzilla opens her mouth and then just blasts fire right down her throat.
That's a great way to end that film.
That was, you could not have nailed it any better than that point. That was a ending for that movie where people were rightfully bitching about the lack of monster-on-monster action. A big problem with specifically Western directors and writers is understanding when you're making a movie that is reliant upon action. They for some reason can make 97 Fast and Furious films and nail this perfectly. I'm not watching it for the narrative. I'm watching for Vin Diesel to say family 47 times.
And stuff blow up and him not die.
I want to watch them for some reason in Antarctica with a Mustang chase down a submarine. It's the stupidest sentence I've ever said that is accurate. With Godzilla, you need to have a good mix of people stuff and monsters.
Yeah.
The first one, it was, the length was right, but the amount of monster stuff needed to be more. They did do a good job of they created new monsters, the Mutos.
You have to give me something to care about.
Yes, and they tried that by having human characters.
And that's okay to like some small extent. Like it works to me. It works better with Kong, with the girl and her connection to Kong. But like I don't want to see bootleg Channing Tatum run around.
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yeah, I don't want to see him run around as this military dude, and I want my family back. And he's just. And
who are you, Harrison Ford? Give me back my family.
Especially after Walter White died, I didn't care. I didn't care at that point in time in the movie. Now I just want to watch Godzilla punch people out.
Now when he died, I was like, don't care. But I know that most people watching were like, why did you just zip him up in a body bag and like, moving on?
Exactly. Exactly. And that easily could have been the guy throughout the entirety of the series, and I think this would have been a lot better.
Yeah, well, but I also think they realized too, like, if we keep him around, he's going to cost a lot of money. I was like, yeah, that makes sense, right. And no one sees Godzilla to see the actors.
No.
But then with King of the Monsters, it introduces more monster stuff. It definitely percentagely does. But it's also a 2-hour and 10-minute movie. We got the Stranger Things girl, so here's the Stranger Things girl. Here's a lot of the Stranger Things girl.
Yep.
Here's the mom that's been the mom in all of the, what are those horror films? The Conjuring. Here's the Conjuring mom. Then here's the dad from Friday Night Lights. Just fucking all of him as much as we can.
Like, why are you doing so much to try and sell me on like the actors or actresses that are gonna be in this movie? Like I didn't need names to get in here. Like it's honestly kind of something that pulls me in because I do like the girl from Stranger Things. And I was like, oh, what is her connection in this movie?
She's the new hotness. Like all of them are, like the Wolfgang kid, who's going to be in the upcoming Ghostbusters movie, which I'm all for.
Yeah.
All for that.
That's gonna be sweet. So you have all these names, and I'm just like, look, what's pulling me in is this stuff actually looks realistic now, with the technology and the upgrades that we have, and stuff is blowing up, and it's Godzilla. Like I understand. They're like, okay, well, we got to reach a different audience so we can pull more people in the movie. Nobody cares if stuff is blowing up.
Stop trying to write down because you think your audience is stupid. That's
a good point.
That's a massive failure. Write to where you think they should be able to comprehend. The reason that Godzilla King of the Monsters had a big problem is it takes too long to get to the big set pieces. There's so much human interaction in between it got tedious. Now, the one thing it did do, or introduce, that I think you need to know about, and you as well, the bomb that they hit Godzilla and Ghidorah with in that scene is called the Oxygen Destroyer. Now, that's from the original movie. One of the ways that they kill Godzilla, or theorize they can kill him, is using an oxygen destroyer, removing the oxygen from his cellular system.
Okay.
Which would kill you.
Yeah, sounds pretty bad for you.
Now, in the 90s, there's a movie called Godzilla vs. Destroyer. Destroyer is created by an oxygen-destroying bomb. So for people like me who are like way too into the Godzilla universe in general, when they said that, I was like, oh my god, they just made it so they can put Destroyer in, who is a ginormous creature that actually in that movie kills baby Godzilla. Flat out murders him, and it's really sad.
Baby Godzilla.
So, Godzilla asexually reproduces.
Okay.
The same way that like Mothra dies, and then they're like, well, we found another egg. Godzilla and Mothra are intertwined with the Earth, so they just regenerate
Gotcha.
because the Earth demands it.
I was about to say,
Suspend your disbelief.
I was having some crazy Godzilla thoughts here for a second. I was like,
but with
I feel like people
Godzilla,
would hear that.
yeah. But with Godzilla vs. Kong, it just, from the jump, it just says, bam, here's Monkey. Monkey is isolated, but now we have to move Monkey because Monkey is pissed and he realizes he's in a giant dome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if we move him, Godzilla will find him. Well, what do we do? Like, sedate him?
Put him to sleep. We'll see what happens.
Didn't work.